Welcome to HR Voices, a podcast for independent HR and people professionals and the businesses they support. HR Voices is brought to you by the expert team at HR Independence Limited. We hope you enjoy.
Hello everyone and welcome to the next edition of HR Voices podcast. I am your host Charlotte Allfrey and I'm joined by my colleague for HR Independence, Mary Asante. Hi Mary.
Hello.
Hi, and we are joined today by Jo Taylor from Let's Talk Talent. And very exciting because Jo was one of our award winners at the HR Independence Conference. So congratulations for that. And she won the category for the highest growth indie. So, her business has grown very significantly. And this was a very tightly fought category, actually, because we had some really great applications. But we're delighted that you're our award winner. So tell us a little bit about yourself. And obviously, sadly, you weren't able to be with us on the day. So we'd love to know what meaning the award means to you, what it feels like to win.
Amazing. Thank you, Charlotte. Thank you, Mary. And hello to everyone that's listening. I'm Jo. I'm the MD and founder of Let's Talk Talent. And I have to say, it was such a proud moment. And I was so disappointed. I was just saying to you both before we kind of pressed record that my father had an operation and I was really unable to do that. Otherwise, I was going to be there kind of in anticipation. But it actually made my day because it was quite a stressful day. And it made me reflect, if I'm honest and truthful, about the journey that I personally have been on, but also the journey that the business has been on. So if I'm really honest, I never saw myself setting up a HR business. For those of you that don't know me, I started off in broadcast TV. So I had a very different career, and some would call a squiggly career, and sort of fell into HR through being a senior manager of a group of program makers in the sort of consumer business, and then set up a brand at Channel 4 for disadvantaged young people. And then a very wise and wonderful HRD at the time saw my potential and said to me, I think you'd be really good at taking the stuff that you've done externally and bringing that internally into a people function, and gave me a start and gave me the role to look at talent management, basically, and employee experience for Channel 4. And Channel 4 is kind of a, sometimes a bit Marmite. You either love it or hate it. And I was there at a really pivotal time of its evolution, but it propelled me into then moving more into a corporate sort of FTSE world, where in a way, what's got me to this position is that when I'm talking to HR teams now, I've been in their shoes. I've had to create HR strategies, performance management. I've had to kind of do redundancies, restructures. And I think that setting up the business was being tired of corporate life. I was exhausted. My late husband had a breakdown and I needed to be more at home. And that's in a way something that's kind of been part of my journey. My work and life have always molded together, but I've always made decisions based on having the two, as continuous paths ultimately. So I had an opportunity to go for a bigger job, and I sat across from a coach, and he said to me, and you can't see me on this podcast, but I've got red hair. And at the time, I think I had it purple or some ridiculous color at the time. Anyway, and he said to me, your face goes really pale. Your eyes go really dull when you talk about taking another corporate job. What's the worst that can happen? And I probably had a bit of money till about for 6 months. And I said, well, I'm going to go. I think I need to pay them. Well, I need to pay the mortgage. I have a ill husband. I don't know what to do. So he said, well, what do you want to do? And I said, I want to build a portfolio career. So he said, well, you've got a massively strong network, go out and try and do it. So that's what I did. The first time I set the business up in 2015, Let's Talk Talent Limited, was to do associate work, to be an HR independent, exactly, a lot of people that are going to be listening to this. And then ambition and drive and sheer bloody mindedness, to be honest with you, took over, and the business has grown. And I never set out to have a team that I have now. It was going to be me and my late husband. We were going to rule the world, and I was going to do really cool things. And we were going to get a balance and go on really nice trips. And life took over. COVID took over. He unfortunately died, took over. And actually, I realized that I wanted to build something that had legacy, both for me in terms of that personal giving something back, but also believe that what I couldn't do in corporate life, I can do as an HR consultant. So now I've got 10 people working for me. I've got an associate team of about 20, and that's the right model for us. But along the way, I've had to make, pivotal decisions, but I wouldn't change a thing. And I think it's quite rare in life to say that. I think everything that's happened to me over those 8 years was for a reason. And I'm incredibly grateful that was recognized by you in terms of the award, but also that's really given me the energy and, in a way, the pride to believe that I am doing the right thing and it is having an impact, and that what's going to happen, one of our values is the best is yet to come. And I'm not finished yet. I want to see where I can take this. And who knows, could be sitting here in a couple of years' time with a completely different, telling you a different story of the next 3 years. But I'm excited about what that looks like.
Excellent. Thank you, Jo, for a very comprehensive introduction and for sharing with us your journey. It's an incredible journey. First of all, I hope your dad is okay.
He is. He's absolutely fine. He's absolutely fine. But for me, family comes first, right? So it's one of those things, unfortunately.
I think family is one of the values of HRI. And I think as Indies, a lot of the time, the reason for people setting up as Indies has family intertwined in it somewhere, regardless of how it might look, different reasons and different shapes and sizes, but almost certainly intertwined in there. So yeah, congratulations, and our condolences on the loss of your husband. And I'm sure, as you've said, you're trying to honor his memory in a way by sort of trying to leave a legacy. So that is amazing. And that is great. And I think you started your business in 2015. I started my Asante Consultancy in 2016. So probably within months, early 2016. So probably within months of each other. But I must say, you've done incredibly well. I mean, we've read your application and it was impressive. And you are listening to you talk through it is impressive. And you should be proud of everything that you've achieved. And well done to the wise HRD for spotting your talent, because you've got an amazing talent. And I think HR and business ownership, and you are a prime example of how you can transfer skills that you've gained elsewhere into HR and make that work. Because what you've done is gone from being commercial into an HR role. And then when you've come out on your own, you've applied this strong commercial acumen that you attained in other roles to make your business successful. So yeah, congratulations, amazing.
Thank you, Mary. You're making me blush. It's interesting because I think about the journey, and I think about, so my father is a very important part of my life, and he was an entrepreneur and he set up businesses. And I went through school and hated school, and my sisters are a doctor and one of them's a lawyer, and I kind of look at my career now. I turned 50 this year, and you look back and you go, that, I don't know, that quiet, very shy, slightly introverted sort of 16-year-old that sort of did her GCSEs. Now you think about myself, the core of me hasn't changed, that drive and ambition, but actually the way I approach things now and the way I run my business is still how, the values that we have, around kind people are our kind of people, we're not afraid to tell people the truth, however hard it is, things that I wish I'd had. And therefore, in creating a team around me, I'm really aware that, commercially, you're only as good as the last project that you've done and the referral and all of that. But I'm really proud of how we've done it through the relationship. So over the last couple of years, 80 to 85% of our business has been returnable clients. And I think in our space, you tell me if I'm wrong, I think that's quite hard to achieve because, sometimes it's point and click solutions, right? And what I was determined to do with the business was not to create a product business, which I think a lot of people try and do. I wanted to create a solutions business, which is harder, but for me more rewarding, because actually I've got the attention span of a goldfish. And if I wasn't going to be interested, I couldn't sell it. But when I talk about selling, and I don't know if this resonates with your audience, a lot of the time when you're an independent, whatever size your business, you're selling yourself. And I've learned more about myself and how I want to be perceived and being vulnerable and authentic than I ever did when I worked in corporate, because I felt I didn't fit that mold. Mm-hmm. Whereas I feel I can be myself. And I think that comes across not only when we deliver, but also in the way that we do marketing, the way that we go to conferences, the way that we interact with, people that, are interested in us. And it's, I never saw that or valued that when I worked in-house.
Really interesting. And actually, I think, if you think back, Mary, to the conversation you and I had a couple of days ago, and we were having a little bit of a debate about this same topic around how you want to be perceived in your business. I'm at a bit of a sort of a crossroads around making some decisions in my business, and went to Mary for some good counsel, which I always get. It's a really interesting point, because actually most of my work comes from referral, very similar, always repeat business. Yes. But recently I have picked some work up from some other consultancy style firms that are very much going down the productizing and the passive income, and you meet the owner and then you have an account manager allocated, right, and then you don't sort of see the owner much after that. So, and people are saying that's not what we're looking for. We're looking for tailored solutions and relationships. So it's really interesting that, you've got that same sort of thought process.
Oh, I think you're absolutely right. I think I got burned a lot when I worked in-house, and when you went to the big girls and boys. So they spent a lot of money with Deloitte, for example, and they'd wheel out the managing partner and he'd be lovely, and you'd never see him again. And you'd get a lovely intern or someone who'd been in there for 2 or 3 years and they were brilliant, but you'd been sold a pup. I don't want to get to a size where I become a figurehead. And my coach, I don't know if you have a coach or if anybody else, I have a number of people, both informal and formal, that become part of my listening, a bit like you do with Mary, that I admire because they've been there and done that and bought the t-shirt. So my coach is a CEO of a telecoms business, because I know that he came from a very different background to me, but he's run businesses and and so I'm trusted. He's enabling me to trust my gut a lot more. But I don't believe that I want to get to a size where you become a figurehead. And he challenges me all the time about this adage of are you a player or are you a coach? And he says, are you a player, coach, or manager? And I think, and it's a football thing. When you think about someone like Arsene Wenger, or you look at Klopp, for example, they were not brilliant players, but they are fantastic coaches and managers because they know how to get the best out of people. And I think I don't want to ever stop delivering, but I want to stop delivering as much as I'm doing. But I don't want to be rolled out. So I'm figuring that out, if I'm honest with you, what 2024 looks like, what 2025 looks like, because I've just recruited another senior consultant in-house, and I need to invest time in them, in upskilling them in the LTT way. But I also need to be there on the projects that I want to do, but not do, I don't know, a project on, I don't know, competency frameworks. So I'm not technically competent in that. I'm not an occupational psychologist, but I know how to create one. But do I need to do 20 of those projects a year? No. Do they need my attention? No, but probably 2 or 3 of them do. Because they're does that make sense?
Yeah, absolutely. You touched on a number of things, and I love the football analogy as well. Basically, sort of starting from the point of view of the business coach, I do think, yes, everyone needs a coach, regardless of what you do. And it's more important when you're running your own business, because effectively you are the boss. If you want to get up, great. If you don't want to get up, who cares? But if you have a coach, it brings that accountability, and it forces you to almost hold the mirror up, look into it and say, look, what have I been up to? What have I done? What's gone so well? What hasn't gone well? What can I do differently? What's next, effectively? All questions that you can ask yourself, but if you don't feel like answering it, you don't have to. But if you have a coach or somebody to hold you accountable, it kind of almost edges you on to go and achieve great things. So I would encourage everyone, if you haven't got a coach, whether it's formally or informally, have a coach, because I've got a number of people as well that both formally and informally, I can talk to, bounce ideas off, etc., and also challenge me in a way that I challenge others as well, because I play that role for others professionally and informally as well. So that there is that. But also one of the things that you touched on is almost the productizing versus solution sort of thing. And I think we all need to realize that one thing might work for somebody, and one model may not work for the other one.
Great.
And that's not necessarily a right or a wrong way. You need to find what works for you, what works for your business.
Great.
For some consultants, the absolute figurehead, as you've described it, they love that part. They love going out, doing business development and handing it over to their team to deliver. Others like yourself, like the, you know what, I love the business development, but I also want to keep my finger in the pie sort of thing and not totally remove myself from the whole equation. So it's really working through the years and trying to find out your style, what works for you and what you really enjoy doing, I think is quite important. And with a football analogy, you come across coaches where almost Mourinho is one of those coaches where people just love the coach, isn't it? It doesn't matter how the team plays. Yeah. And it's the coach that people focus.
The charisma, right? It's the charisma. I think you're totally right, and I think your point about product versus solutions. Now, obviously, I've got a strong view because that's the way I've set my business up. But I think there's nothing wrong with product businesses. And I remember someone who is older and wiser than me, who ran 2 successful businesses and sold them in the HR space. And she said to me, what you need to think about when you're setting up as an independent is, are you setting this up as a lifestyle business? Or are you setting this up as an acquisition business? So do you want to be acquired, which is where you're going to go for the money, right? And you're going to chase the money. And that's absolutely fine. There's absolutely nothing wrong with that. That's not sorry, I've got a big dog behind me. Or are you doing a lifestyle business? And again, there's no right or wrong with that, but there's a different way of setup, because you're going to think within a product business that you're going to try, and it's going to be repeatable, and you're going to try and get volume, right? So it might be high volume, low margin.
Yeah.
With solutions, it sometimes takes us 3 to 6 months to sell consultancy, but it's higher margin, lower volume. And I think that's really important when you're thinking about, when you start out, what you want to do. And there, as you rightly say, it doesn't matter. But I think being very clear in the direction that you want to travel and what you need to do that, whether that is you're going to take on staff. We're all working remotely majority, so the office doesn't become an issue. What's your overhead? Then you're able to work out where you want to invest in sales, where you might need to invest in operations, where you might need to invest in marketing. And that's, in a way, all the questions I keep asking myself all the time. We have delivery, a delivery team, a sales team, a marketing team, and operations that make up the 10 people. But that's grown, and we've pulled the levers when we've had to. So, I've recruited a director of sales. I promoted him to run operations. We then recruited a project manager, a salesperson underneath it. To get to the numbers and to where we want to get to, you pull the levers at the time. But at what I've tried to do, which I only got GCSE maths, and technology helps you, QuickBooks or Xero or whatever system. I don't want to feel like I'm plugging any particular technology, but enables you at a glance to see what you're spending. And the adage is, don't spend more than you're getting in.
Yeah, very important.
And we can overextend, sometimes when we're trying to expand quickly.
Yes, well, it can be easy to grow too quickly almost, and then not keep up with that you need to grow and develop the business at the same, same pace, really. Something I wanted to pick up on, which I thought was quite interesting, that you said quite early on, was how you've made peace with the idea that you are your business and your business is you, because it's something that consultants talk about a lot. I do, the fact that, and particularly because we work independently, I work at home most of the time. Mary does, you do a lot. And it's how you separate yourself from the business. And for some, that becomes a bit of a challenge. Whereas actually it sounds like you've really embraced that and you're quite comfortable with that. So I'm just interested in exploring that a little bit more.
I think work is part of who I am. I think it's something that I really enjoy. And I think when that passion goes away, I'll know that it's time to sell the business and kind of get off the motorway or, get off the hamster wheel. I think I'm a workaholic, and I don't think I've got that balance right. And especially when my husband passed away, I didn't take any holiday for about 18 months and I completely exhausted myself. So I am definitely not a role model in terms of getting that work-life balance. I don't want to leave anybody under the illusion that I've got it right. But this year I bought a book over Christmas, which was around it's called The Art of Rest. And it's the first book I've read in a long time that talked about the different types of rest and recuperation that we need. And one of the ways that I recoup my energy is walking. So, I've got a dog, a French bulldog of 3 years. We go off piste. And that's where I get my separation. And in terms of the business, I'm comfortable that the brand has been built around me. And I've, in a way, maybe rejected is not the right. I've pushed back a lot when we've tried to move it too far away from that. Because I still believe that people buy the business because when they meet me and we have a conversation that they get what I'm trying to do, and I'm not a typical HR person. But what I am aware of is that I want to spend, if I think about percentages, I have been spending 70% of my time in the business and probably 30% on the business. I need to pivot that. And I want to spend 40% in the business and 60% on the business. Therefore, I've recruited some really strong senior consultants, and I've said to them that 80% of their time should be spent in the business doing the delivery and 20% on the business. So I'm moving the opportunity for them to be showcased more, both in blogs, both in webinars that we do for free, the YouTube channel that we've got. So I'm really aware that I want the sum of the parts to be bigger, but at the end of the day, it's my business. I'm not going to have shareholders. I'm not giving anyone equity, So I'm at peace with that. And I've been very clear from day one that anyone that works for me, I pay well, and there is, good, bonus structure and all the things that you'd expect. I'm eating my own dog food. in that sense. I'm role modeling it, but I won't give away what isn't mine to give away. So maybe that will come and bite me, I don't know, but at the moment, for the last 8 years, it served me well. And I think as long as you're authentic and you're honest and transparent and you're consistent, I think people buy that. And I think that's okay. But it is something that I definitely am more challenged on now. And it's definitely things, when I say that I need to pivot my time and thinking about, is one of my biggest challenges. So, ask me in a year's time whether I've made it. But I'm willing to go on that journey, and I'm okay if I don't, because I'm not setting myself up to fail. I'm being realistic in what that looks like.
I think to build on Charlotte's question, in terms of the business being Joe Taylor, but you have 10 people working for you and 20 associates who delivered the job. So if, say, a potential client, I meet you and you sell me Joe Taylor and I buy into it, and the actual delivery is done by one of your 20 associates or a consultant within your team, how do you go about ensuring that I still get the Joe Taylor experience, although it's not you delivering that project?
It depends, right? So if you look at the size of our business, 65% of our business is consultancy and 35% is solutions. I don't sell you a solution. I don't sell you a team day, a piece of coaching, you're not expecting to have me, but you're expecting it to be the LTT way. And we've got really strong brand and a way of design and approach. And I think people, in terms of webinars, they don't care that it's not me. In consultancy, I'm across everything. So I'm not just rolled out. I may not do the focus groups and all of the interviews and everything, but I'm there at the scoping meeting. I'm there at the kickoff. I'm there to do some of the delivery. I'm there to help present it at the end. I'm there to so they see me all the way through. And there's a prime example of this. We work with a digital education business. And I know I've coached the HRD, and she came to me and she wanted to do an OD workshop for her people partners to explain OD and what that is. Now, I put that together for her. She's not expecting it to be me because I've told her. I've been really honest, but she knows that I'm going to be around and that if she's got a problem, she can call me. And I think it's the balance, if that answers your question. I don't sell something that I couldn't deliver. And if some of our clients do ask for me specifically, I still do it. But that's legacy, right?
Absolutely. Thank you for that. That answers it. And I think, as Charlotte said, I think that particular thing, when we have webinars or we have roundtables, etc., when consultants get to the point where they're thinking, "Ooh, do I bring on associates or do I recruit people?"
Yeah.
The real thing that people struggle with, because it's a matter of, well, my clients buy into me. So if I'm now sending Charlotte out or Joe out, are they going to feel as if I've missold them Mary, because it's not Mary turning up at their door?
Yeah, I get that.
It's just that element. And thank you. I think you put it quite perfectly, in as much as, okay, we've almost worked out and got a formula, a model that we work to within, which is the LTT way. And so if whether you get to Mary, Charlotte or Joe, they are working the LTT way. So you don't feel that actually this isn't Joe, but you feel that, okay, I'm working with somebody from LTT. And ultimately, if something does go wrong, they can still come to you, they can still talk to you and pull you, and you'll be keeping an eye on it anyway. So yeah, that's great.
Well, what I'd like then to do potentially, Joe, is challenge you to next year. So you said in a year's time we can ask you. So perhaps save the date for next year's conference, which is going to be the 27th of September. And we'll ask you that very question.
Lovely.
See how you've got on.
I'd love that. No, that would be really good. That's a really good challenge for me and keeps me humble and honest, right?
Yeah. I mean, what was really lovely is I think Mary and I probably would agree with this, that, you know, you hear from your clients that you're doing a great job. You know, clients say, oh, you know, that was brilliant, thank you. You know, I couldn't have done that without you, which is amazing. But actually to hear it from your team and to see that, you know, your team were so passionate about how you've developed the business and the support you give them, you know, and actually clearly this model that you've developed and the way you're working is very clearly working.
Thank you. I appreciate it. That I'm much prouder about the way the team feels. I love, you know, it's really lovely to get recognition externally and from your clients, but sometimes we all need validation. And I think I realized that I'm probably, as a consultant, more needy than I would have been in an organization, because you get told in an organization if you're doing well, whereas there are KPIs that you measure yourself on in terms of the business, right? In terms of whether you're growing, revenue, you know, net promoter score, you know, referrals, all of those types of things. But you know, getting recognition from your own team means the world, because then I know that I'm being the right leader and a fair leader, and that people are following and are comfortable and they can be themselves. And that's much more important to me than, yeah, obviously winning the work's lovely, but it's not the team. I can't do anything without the team.
That's amazing. Well, thank you ever so much for sharing your journey with us today. It's been really fascinating to hear, a very inspirational story, which I think our listeners are going to love listening to. And we will absolutely be catching up with you in a year's time to see how you're getting on. So we wish you all the best for your growth in 2024. We hope that growth continues at the same rate. And we look forward to perhaps welcoming another application in our awards next year, maybe, who knows. To our listeners, thank you for listening. It's lovely having you with us. I hope this has been an inspirational journey for you as well. You can catch us on all the usual platforms. And if you would like to feature on the show, you're welcome to contact us at HR Voices. And we look forward to bringing you the next edition. Thanks very much, everybody. Bye-bye.
We hope you enjoyed this episode of HR Voices. If you have a topic you'd like us to cover or would like to be a guest, we'd love to hear from you. Connect with us on social media or email us at hrvoices@hrindependence.co.uk. Tune in next time.